Hello students, I hope all of you are ready for the English literature class. Today we'll study a poem, Geography lesson. So all of you open your textbook and follow me. Now this poem is written by Zulfikar Ghosh. Okay. Now it is written from the perspective of the poet. Now he was looking at the city from above. He was seated in a jet plane. Okay. And as he ascends the height in the sky, he is able to understand the real meaning of geography. And as the plane took off from the ground and went into the sky, okay, and then it becomes clear to the poet why the city was developed in a certain way. And from a certain height, the city started to look smaller in size, like a mile was reduced to 6 inches on the scale, okay, and what looked haphazard. Now, haphazard means without plan or order and without logic on the ground. It seemed inevitable. Inevitable meaning that cannot be avoided and necessary when viewed from the sky. And still, when the plane attained 10,000 feet of height, the logic of geography was clear to him. And the poet was able to understand that it was land and water that attracted man or habitation. And that is why many cities developed where the rivers were flowing. And the valleys also were populated for the same reasons. And again, as the plane attained another 6 miles, it became very clear to him that the earth was round and there was more water than land. However, the logic of geography failed to answer one question. The poet could not understand why people hate and kill each other. Why was there a need to build walls across the cities? Walls across the cities means borders. Even from that height, the causes behind human hatred remained clear. So, I just told you about the summary of the poem. Okay. Now I'm going to explain you stanza by stanza. So follow your textbook. Just see the first stanza. I'm reading. When the jet sprang into the sky, it was clear why the city had developed the way it had. Seeing it scaled 6 inches to the mile, there seemed an inevitability about what on ground had looked haphazard, unplanned, and without style. When the jet sprang into the sky. So, see the meaning here. The poet in these lines, okay, he shares his views about the city, okay, when viewed from a certain height. So the poet says when the plane took off from the ground and set to touch the sky, the poet could view the city in a miniature, meaning the city appeared very small to him, like an area spread over a mile was reduced to just 6 inches on the scale when the city was viewed from above. And when he looked at the whole city, the poet was able to understand why the city was designed in the way it was. And what appeared haphazard, I have already told you the meaning of haphazard, meaning without plan or order. So, what appeared haphazard and unplanned on the ground, okay, gained clarity. So, on the ground, the cities appeared haphazard and unplanned, but when the poet viewed the city from above, okay, it was very clear, okay. The ground gained clarity and order when viewed from the height. So, I hope you have understood stanza 1. Now, let's move on to stanza 2. When the jet reached 10,000 feet, it was clear why the country had cities where the rivers ran and why the valleys were populated. The logic of geography that land and water attracted man was clearly delineated. Delineated means shown. When the jet reached 10,000 feet, okay, so now I'll explain you the stanza 2. Here in stanza 2, the poet in this stanza, okay, is able to understand the logic of geography. What happened? Soon the plane reached 10,000 feet in height, and then it was no longer difficult for the poet to understand the logic of geography or the way the geographical and territorial, meaning land, spaces were designed. So all this was very clear to him, and he understood that water and land were essential for human existence. Okay, and that is why the areas near the rivers were very much populated. Even the valleys were populated for the same reasons. So the fact that water and land attracted man, okay, was made visible from the this height. From above, the poet could understand that these two things, that is land uh, and water, were very essential for human beings. So you have understood. Now let us move on to the third stanza. When the jet rose 6 miles high, it was clear the earth was round and that it had more sea. Hello, students. There was a little interruption. Okay, now we'll move on. All right, let us carry on. When the jet rose 6 miles high, it was clear the earth was round and that it had more sea than land. But it was difficult to understand that the men on the earth found causes to hate each other, to build walls across the cities, and to kill. From that height, it was not clear why. So, here in the third stanza, all right, the poet says, he shares the mankind's shame at not being able to understand the mystery behind human hatred. All right. So, in these lines, the poet says, why human beings hate each other. So, now I'll explain you line by line. So, as the plane attained another 6 miles, it was easier to understand that the earth was round and there was more water than land. So, the poet could view this from above. All right. He saw that the earth was round and there was more water than land, that you already know. Okay. But he could not understand one thing, and that is why men hated and killed each other. He could not understand the reason behind building high walls and having ill feelings towards others. Geography was never about borders, barriers, territorial differences, okay, when seen from above. Okay, so when the poet views the cities from above, he could understand, he could feel that geography was not about borders, about barriers, territorial differences. Man had given these meanings to geography. And why man did that, he just couldn't understand. So that is the poem. Okay, I hope you have understood the poem. Go through the poem line by line and understand. So I will stop here now.